Victim Services Coordinator. I work with families of missing and murdered women, supporting the families through whatever they need. If there is court, I support them through the court process, emotionally support them and help link them with the investigation, provide them updates from the investigators as is needed. I'm providing support to families as long as they need, which often lasts their entire lives. And oftentimes, a lot of their own circles around them, their own families and friends, they're kind of done hearing with the situation and the grief. They expect the people to move on in their life, but that just doesn't happen. This is something that's going to affect them from now until the rest of their lives.
My first name is Amber, and I met Chelsea through KARE because my mom was a worker and she had gone missing in 2002, and they just recently found her in 2012 in May, and Chelsea was one of the people who reached out to our family, and she did really well. She did really well with my sister and my auntie. She's been there for us since then, and it's already been 3 years.
I'm supporting about 30 to 35 different families as they're referred from the RCMP KARE unit. We're really trying to build a community of support amongst the families by holding family gatherings, different types of events that the families can come together, also support groups for the families so they can meet each other and develop their own natural support system.
It's, I don't know if empowering is the right word. It's nice to have somebody that I can turn to. She understands, it's non-judgmental, whether I'm down or up, she's there for me. For my family even. Victim Services have been really culturally aware, and when we went to where my mom was found, they allowed us to have our own ceremony as well as that, and that was really nice. It was nice to see that that was appropriate, and they looked at it as appropriate, so that was good. One
of our greatest successes we've found with the KARE unit has been partnering with some of the community agencies such as Métis Child and Family Services. We've actually started running an inner city victims of homicide support group out of that agency once a month, where the families can come together, share their stories, share what they're going through with other people who have been through the same thing. No one understands the grief they've gone through except if they've walked that path themselves. So uniting those families together has been the most successful in providing them some sort of comfort on their journeys.
Without Victim Services, we wouldn't really have anywhere to go. They have other things, like we have gatherings and stuff like that. I've been to one, and that's just personal preference, but it's nice to know that there's something out there for me or other people who have been in my situation.
The grief between someone who's missing and someone who's murdered, while they're equally devastating forms of grief, they are quite distinct as well. When someone goes missing, the type of grief a family experiences is actually termed ambiguous loss. It's a type of loss where there just aren't any answers to the questions. They don't know if their loved one is still alive. They don't know if their loved one has gone away on their own wishes. So it's often very tormenting for the families, and on a day-to-day basis they can change what they believe might have happened. That being said, when someone is murdered, there's a lot of unanswered questions as well. Even if someone is charged, there's still that question of why did this happen? How could somebody do this to my loved one?
It took me a while to open up, but she was really good that way. She had patience with me, and she knew that it was going to be at my own pace, and she accepted that, even if at times she wanted to help and I wouldn't let her. It's nice to know that it's unconditional. We don't need anything to have their help. We can reach out to them and they'll always be there.
It takes a really long time for families to find happiness and peace in life again. Every family is different. Some it can take 20+ years to find some sort of peace and happiness. It all depends on the person, really. But ultimately, these families are changed forever. It's something they are going to deal with forever. And the smallest thing can trigger a family member to go right into that traumatic state when they first found out the news about their loved one. So it's constantly going back and forth between finding peace and being triggered and spiraling into a state of crisis again.
Only recently I was able to finally open up and not carry things just on my shoulders. So without it I wouldn't really have anyone else to turn to. I want to thank, I don't remember his name, but he was the police officer that held on to my mom's file for all those years. He was amazing. He always kept us in the loop, and I like that Victim Services is there, so if I want to know anything or if I'm confused, I just want to thank them.
I think for me, when I see a family's been able to find peace and happiness in their lives at some point after they've been through such tragic circumstances, that's really rewarding to see a smile on someone's face, to know that they feel okay to smile. I know a lot of people, initially they feel guilty if they're happy after what's happened to their loved one. So when they reach a point in life that they feel okay to be happy and honor their loved one in different ways, that's really rewarding for me.